Hey everyone, Bob here again. My training for you today is about defensive driving. So areas to focus on when driving is speeding. So speeding is our topic for today's training. So we know already that traffic accidents involving cars and other vehicles is the speeding is the culprit. So one of the top reasons why accident happen, especially for a major or fatal accident. Speeding, according to WHO Road Safety Report 2015, is the culprit. 1,513 are reported road traffic deaths, but WHO estimated road traffic deaths are around 10,379. Road traffic deaths in the Philippines, 53% of them are coming from motorcycle riders, 19% death from pedestrians, 14% four-wheeled vehicle drivers, 11% deaths coming from four-wheeled vehicle passengers, 2% cyclists, and 1% others. So my advice for you is think, slow down, and live. Speed kills. Everybody says that. My question for you is it worth the risk? I have a table here. Speed, the first column. Second is the distance would be of travel would be 16 kilometers with corresponding travel time, time saved, and risk of death. So let's say the driver drives at around 80 kilometers per hour to drive at 16 kilometers distance. The approximate travel time would be around 12 minutes. There will be no time saved, no risk of death. Let's say the driver increases his speed to 88 kilometers per hour. The travel time reduces to 10 minutes and 54 seconds. So the driver is able to save 1 minute and 6 seconds. But the risk of death will now be 1.5 times. So he increases again to 96 kilometers per hour. The travel time would now be reduced to 10 minutes. And the driver is able to save 2 minutes. But the risk of death or the likelihood of accident or collision will be doubled 2 times. Increases again to 104 kilometers per hour. Reduces the time travel to 9 minutes and 14 seconds. Was able to save 2 minutes and 46 seconds. But the risk of death or likelihood of accident is tripled or 3 times. Again, the driver is speeding 112 kilometers per hour. So it reduces to 8 minutes and 34 seconds. Time save is now at 3 minutes and 26 seconds, but the risk of death is quadrupled. Again, the driver is now speeding much faster at 120 kilometers per hour. The driver was able to do his time travel at 8 minutes and was able to save at 4 minutes, and the risk of death is 6 times. Again, the driver is really stubborn and really speeding at 128 kilometers per hour. Time travel has become 7 minutes only and 30 seconds. Was able to save 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But the risk of death is now much higher at 8 times. Really, the driver is really speeding this time at 136 kilometers per hour. That would be his top speed perhaps. And reduced to 7 minutes and 3 seconds travel time. Was able to save almost 5 minutes at 4 minutes 57 seconds. But the risk of death or the likelihood of accident would become much higher at 12 times. This is actually theoretical, but it could happen to everyone, especially when you're driving fast. Usually the driver loses concentration, loses reflexes, and there are also other factors like weather condition, road condition, and other conditions. Okay, so again, speed is the culprit for all accident. Okay, speeding again. So when you are speeding, reaction time, it will not be enough. Reaction time of the driver, no recognition of the hazards on the road. Stopping distance increases also, and force of impact will be greater. And the question is, will you be able to stop in time? So my advice for you is keep to the speed limits. Speed limit in towns and cities is around 50 kilometers per hour, maybe lower than that for light vehicles, and 30 kilometers per hour for heavy vehicles, even lower. Unless lower speed limits are posted by some authorities. Now let's talk about driver reaction time. Reaction time vary greatly with situation and from person to person, depending on the driving habits, driving attitude of a person. So between about zero point 0.7 to 3 seconds or more. Accident reconstruction investigator usually use 1.5 seconds as its basis in the driver reaction time. This is actually average of the accident reconstruction investigator. A control study found average driver reaction braking time to be 2.3 seconds. That's already more than enough for the driver to have an accident. Okay, let's go for the stopping distance. Okay, I have a chart here. Um, I'm talking about perception distance, reaction distance plus braking distance. That would be a total stopping distance. Let's say a light vehicle driver or car driving at 55 miles per hour or equivalent to 48 kilometers per hour. You know, the black bar, that's the perception distance. So the perception distance would be 141.2 feet or equivalent to 43 meters. Okay. And the amber color says 60.5 feet or 19 meter. That would be the reaction distance of the car driver. And for the braking distance, for the car driver driving at 48 kilometers per hour, that would be at 144 feet or 44 meters. That is the distance when the driver applied the brakes and when the vehicle stops. So perception distance plus reaction distance plus braking distance, the total would be total stopping distance. So the total stopping distance of the car driving at 48 kilometers per hour is 345.7 feet or equivalent to 106 meter. Okay. Now let's go to the heavy vehicle. You see, the driver is driving a straight truck, 10 wheelers. Perhaps the straight truck will weigh around 30 or 40 tons, and the net load would be around maybe 10, 15 tons. Okay. And the driver is driving, the heavy vehicle driver is driving around 48 kilometers per hour. So the perception distance would be the same, 141.2. Why? Because this is something to do with the drivers, not the vehicle. Okay. Also, the reaction distance, because this is again something to do with the drivers, not the vehicle. So 60.5 feet, equivalent to 19 feet. So the difference is the braking distance. So the car is the braking distance of the car is shorter compared to the vehicle, which is much longer. Why? This is something to do with the weight factor and the momentum of the vehicle driving at 48 kilometers per hour. This is, of course, considering the conditions are all normal, like the weather condition, the road conditions, and everything else. So for the truck, perception distance plus reaction distance plus braking distance, the total stopping distance is 477 feet or equivalent to 145 meters. So that would be much longer distance compared with the car driving at the same speed. Okay. The difference there is the weight factor and the momentum. Okay. So if the vehicle is much heavier, then the distance would be much longer for the total for the full stopping of the vehicle. So My advice for you, especially for the heavy truck driver, is really to slow down. Okay, unlike the car, which is much easier to control, the heavy vehicle is really difficult to control because of the load that the vehicle is rigging, especially if it is an articulated vehicle or a tractor trailer, then the distance will be much longer. Okay, so now let's talk about the impact of force. I have three comparisons here: the 20 kilometers per hour speed, 40 kilometers per hour speed, and 60 kilometers per hour speed. Okay, let's talk about the 20 kilometer speed. The 20 kph speed, the the situation here is that the car has collided into a permanent structure, maybe a wall of a building. Okay, so the damage would be like minimal, maybe just the front bumper or the left or right fender, front fender. Oh, so let's say that the speed is doubled to 40 kilometers per hour. Same situation. And the car collided into the wall. So the damage of the vehicle now is much greater because of the force of impact has increased. So the damage could be the hood, or sometimes you call it bonnet, or the front bumper, the front fender, or maybe the radiator is also damaged, or the AC condenser, the fan motor, maybe the wheels, or maybe the chassis is also bent. Okay, that is only at 40 kilometers per hour. Let's say you increase to another 20 kilometers, that would be 60 kilometers per hour. And same situation, the car collided into a wall. The damage is much greater this time because of the impact. It's much greater. Okay, damage everything in the front end of the car, including the engine perhaps, and the transaxial. What is transaxial? The transmission, because most of the car now are front wheel drive. Okay, so that would be force of impact. The greater or the faster you drive, the greater the impact, the greater the damage. And it could even lead to fatality accident. So now let's talk about reduction of speed. So when is the time, or what situation you would reduce your speed? You reduce your speed for poor visibility, reduce your speed for approaching crest of hill, and always keep to the right. Why? Because you don't know what's coming from behind the hill. Approaching crossroads and railroad crossings, listen to the alarm set off by the railroad authorities and the bar, and reduce on narrow or winding roadways. Reduce when you are approaching road repairs, construction area. Usually they put ahead so that the oncoming vehicles are able to recognize the hazard. They're putting signs which says men at work. Approaching accident scenes, especially this one, you should really slow down because you don't want to be the second accident scenes, right? When you have a second accident. Approaching or passing pedestrians, you really have to yield to pedestrians, especially if the pedestrians are walking along the pedestrian lanes. Okay, so you give them their priorities, they are priorities, and you have to yield to these pedestrians. Entering school zones and playgrounds, you don't know when the kids or the students are coming out from school or from playgrounds. And entering school hospital zones, only the emergency vehicle or the ambulance are speeding in and around the vicinity of hospitals. Okay, now let's talk about safe following distance, or 2-second rule. What is 2-second rule? It's like two vehicles, two cars, for example. One is leading, one is following. Let's say, for example, the leading vehicle or the vehicle in front is running and in front or in alignment with the permanent structure. Let's say the permanent structures like building or a tree or a shed or an electric post or whatever permanent structure. When that car is in alignment with the structure, then the following vehicle should start counting from 1001 to 1002. If the vehicle the driver of the vehicle is able to count 2 seconds before it passes the structure, then the driver is on for a safe following distance. If the driver or the vehicle is already um, passes the structure, uh, then after the counting of the 2 seconds, then the driver should really adjust his speed. He should slow down to maintain the 2 seconds distance. This is not about the distance in terms of the meters. This is in terms of time factor. The longer the time, the safer your following distance. So the 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 slower your vehicle would be. Okay, but you can also have different idea or different, say, like for example this car. Okay, the leading car is now behind or under the bridge. Now the driver is start counting it. 1, 2, 3 seconds. Okay, so it could be 2 seconds, it could be 3 seconds, it could be 4 seconds. Especially for truck, I would suggest that it should be 4 seconds or 5 seconds or 6 seconds. Okay, because as I said earlier, the truck is really difficult to control, especially when it is loaded because of the weight factor. Okay. Okay, now let's talk about this. When a car traveling at 88 kilometers per hour hits a solid object, the following occurs. At one at 0.1 second, the front bumper and grille collapse. Okay. At 0.2 seconds, the hood crumples, rises, and strikes the windshield. The spinning rear wheels lift from the ground. Fenders begin to wrap themselves around the solid objects. Instinct causes the driver to stiffen his legs against the impending crash. They snap at the knee joint. Although the car's frame has been halted, the rest of the car is still going at 88 kilometers per hour. At 0.3 second, the steering wheel starts to disintegrate and the steering column aims for the driver's chest. At 0.4 second, at this point, 0.61 meter of the car's front is wrecked. The rear is still moving at 56 kilometers per hour, but the driver's body is still traveling at 88 kilometers per hour. At 0.5 seconds, the driver is impaled on the steering column, or maybe the chest is against the steering wheel. So blood rushes into his lungs. At 0.6 seconds, the driver's feet are ripped out of tightly laced shoes. The brake pedal snaps off. The car frame buckles in the middle. The driver's head smashes into the windshield. The rear wheels still spinning and fall back to the ground. At 0.7 second, hinges rip loose, doors fly open, and the seats break free, striking the drivers from behind. At 0.8 seconds, the seat striking the driver does not bother him because he's already dead. At 0.9 second to 1 second, the last 0.3 of a second mean nothing to the driver. You know why? Because the driver is dead. And he just met a fatal accident. Okay? So my advice for you, motorists, drivers alike, please think first. Think and slow down. Then live. Okay? So I hope you like this presentation, this training. And if you do, please subscribe and share. I will do another sets of driving defensive training, and then just watch for it. And in the meantime, subscribe and share. And thank you for watching this video. Thank you.